Welcome to Bruce C. TV. I'm your host, Bruce C., and I am with one of my bestest, oldest buddies, Howard Piskarik. We've been knowing each other since...
second grade. It's pretty nice to have a dear friend for over 50 years.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good times. One of the times we're going to talk about today is one of our many road trips. We've got a history of road trips. But Howard and I have something else in common. We both knew what we wanted to do with our lives when we were young. And I remember I was I think I was 8 years old, and I always knew I wanted to be in the travel business. I wanted to be a tour guide. Howard's story is a little bit different, but I remember, I'll tell a story about when we were in 5th grade, and we were playing foot hockey, and he got busted.
He didn't get caught, but the teacher made me stand up, and she was explaining to me that, hey, you need to learn this stuff and pay attention. And I says, well, I really don't need to know all that stuff. I go, I'm going to be a truck driver. And she said, even truck drivers need to learn this.
She was wrong, though. And what...
I'm a truck driver. I've been a truck driver all my life. I've owned my own truck since I've been 25 years old, and I'm still trucking.
One of the great things about having a truck driver for a best friend is that when we do the road trips, he's the guy that drives. You don't like anybody else driving. I mean, you prefer to drive.
Right. And on that Montana trip, I had a newer 1979 Ford F-150 Lariat pickup with a single cab, bench seat. With a cap on the back, like a camper cap,
Had a little door.
It had the little door in the back, no tailgate on it, and it was nice. And our friend Al Chop went with us on the trip, and Al garbage picked a big comfy chair, and we took the legs off and we stuck it in the back of the pickup.
Jammed it back.
And it was like facing backward, so he was looking out the back, but it was, and then Al had his little setup in there with his music and the cooler of beer and stuff. So, and we had more room up front, which was nice.
Yeah, no, we can't complain about that. So our plan was to take a summer trip out to Montana, and typically in those days, we would pick out how long we were going to go. We knew we had a couple weeks off and we were going to come back, and then we just went. And we
no game plan. 2 weeks, we're going to Montana.
Yeah, we're going to camp. I think we did decide we wanted to go up into Canada rather than go south or west or towards Yellowstone. So we went north. But we had no real game plan other than camp and stay at...
Black Hill, South Dakota was a place we stayed at first. Yeah. And then one thing I remember about that trip was...
we camped there, right? We had a nice campsite by a lake. Yeah. It was mountainy.
And then Al wanted to go swimming. It was hot. It was summer. So we went up on this thing. There was like a 10, 12-foot ledge where Al jumped in the water. And of course, I said, hey, how's the water? And he's like, oh, it's nice. It's nice. Whatever. Okay, so I jump in the water, and the water was frigid. I don't know where this water was coming from, but it was cold.
It was mountain cold.
Yeah, so I jump up, and I go, I got to get Bruce to jump in this water. I'm not going to.
I'm still on the ledge.
Up, and I'm like, I don't scream, and I just look at Al, and Al's smiling at me, and Bruce is like, he don't like the cold water, man. He's a baby.
I still don't like cold.
Right. So, anyways, he jumped in, and as soon as his feet left that ledge, I was swimming for the shore. Like, I got to get out of this water. This water is like 48 degrees.
And it was all I remember is plunging into that water. And the moment I hit, I started screaming. It was freezing cold. My eyes hurt. And I came out of the water, and they're already at shore. They're beeline to shore. I'm like, you son of... It was rough.
And then we headed up to Billings.
Yeah.
And then...
okay. So Billings, we didn't want to camp the whole trip. Obviously, we knew we needed shower and all that. So our plan is always to stay at a cheap motel. But I had spent the last couple of years working in the travel business. I'd stayed at really nice hotels. I stayed at Hyatt's. I stayed at beautiful properties, ate really good food. So my mind's always already working like, I want to stay at a decent place. So we're pulling into Billings. And I see this big billboard. It's got what was the tallest?
Yeah, it was. I believe it was the tallest building in Billings.
Some hotel chain, but it was a big hotel. But I knew right away that chain gave discounts to travel agents if you had your business card. So I thought, hey, let's see what we can do. So I got the directions down. I told him, I've been there Billings before. And I had been there on tour. I had stayed at that hotel. So I gave him directions. We pull in the back lot. And I remember you guys were like, what the hell are we doing here, right?
Right. I was surprised. Like, we ain't spending this kind of money. What are you, nuts?
So I told him, here's the deal. I'm going to go in and try and get a special rate. I go, but if we, and see if I can get a deal. So I go in, I did get a deal. I come back out and I said, there's 2 rules. No tunes. We're not going to bring our music in and get kicked out of the hotel. And number 2, we're not going to the hotel bar because I know nothing good will come of that. Well,
that was out the window really fast because it was happy hour 2 for 1, right. And they had these like a free hors d'oeuvre bar, but it wasn't just like a regular hors d'oeuvre. It was like mini tacos, Swedish meatballs, mini sandwiches. It was awesome. I mean, it was
really
like, okay, we don't even have to pay to eat. We're going to eat for free, 2 for 1. The next thing you know, we're in there like 2.5 hours, and it's like, and Al is really loud.
But remember...
Oh, another thing. When we were walking in the hotel, Al walks in. He's got cutoffs on and cowboy boots.
Yeah. I had a bad vibe right from the get-go.
Right. I was walking behind him looking, going, this is weird. But anyways, about 3 hours, we were kicked out of the bar. We were getting loud and noisy, and Al's really loud. And anyways, it was just like, the guy's like, that's it, you're out of here.
So we did break one of my rules, but we didn't get kicked out of the hotel. Right. We only got kicked out of the bar.
And then after that, we went up north. We were up Northern Rockies, up Glacier National Park, up into Canada. And on the way up there, we were going along up in like Bighorn Mountains or something. I don't even know where we were at. But anyways,
we were driving the switchbacks. It was beautiful mountain scenery, right?
Two-lane road, and all of a sudden we come upon and we see a bunch of cars parked on the side. It's like a sign, everybody's looking at something. Right. And as we got a little closer, we see people with tripods and something. We go, something's up, So as we got a little closer, we could see there's a whole herd of elk, like 100.
Oh, yeah, easily 100.
And they're all in like a valley, and
it's
the
side of the the side of the mountain.
We're from Chicago. I mean, how awesome to see that? It was just so beautiful.
Really
so
cool.
we pull over, and we're gonna get out. So I got out, grab my camera.
I got out behind you,
right, and then Al gets on the passenger side, and Al slams the door, and the whole herd of 100 just goes whoosh, running away, and all these people are looking at us like, what in the hell? So I'm like, as soon as I see everybody, I just turn around, I walk in, I get back in, I shut the door, I start the truck, they get in, vroom, we go down the road and get it. All the people are just, their heads are turning and going like
but I will say this. I'll say this, and maybe it's just me being an optimist, but I'll never forget the view of the horses, the view of all those elk running away was more cool than anything. Just to see them, that sound just dispersed them like wow, they just took off and all. It was mesmerizing to watch that.
Nature at its best.
So it was pretty cool.
Then we ended up going up into Canada, getting super searched at the border. I mean, like search, like everything out of the pickup, everything, every item we had, everything in a glove box.
Now,
these guys were really looking for something.
We were not carrying drugs. We had a handful of weed. I mean,
a couple joints or something in a sleeping bag, and luckily the guy didn't find it because believe me, they were serious. So, anyways, we made it through that all right.
Well, they tore it all up.
Yeah, and then we had to put it all back together. The whole thing just took everything apart.
Yeah.
So it was crazy.
And what did he say?
And then he said,
you asked the guy. Yeah.
I says, geez, what was your reason for? He goes, that vehicle is too clean to come 2,000 miles. We had just washed it that morning because it was all full of bugs. We were on back roads. It was just filthy.
Yeah, how do you explain to customs that you're just anal? I mean, we just like clean. We've always been that way. Yeah. So being clean was pretty important. Yeah. We cleaned the vehicle.
Anytime you want to smuggle drugs over the border or something, don't wash your car. But anyways, and then we ended up coming back down into Missoula, Montana. After up into Canada and around, and then we ended up in a bar again.
We had lunch. We went for a late lunch at a bar, and I'll never forget that. I don't remember the name of the bar, but what I remember was we had lunch, and we stuck around a little bit, had a couple more beers, and I remember the bartender told us we had to get out of there eventually that night. They were going to have a wedding. Well, basically, it was an invitation for us to crash a wedding. Is exactly what.
So remember, we got there for lunch, and we're at the wedding. We're in this bar for like 6 hours easily. So,
but the cool thing about the wedding was, they didn't mind us being there. In fact,
they were inviting. They were friendly, inviting people.
But what I remember mostly was, I loved to dance, and I was.
He's dancing with the bride. Dancing with the bride. Doesn't even know the woman. Yeah. Didn't
know anybody. They're all cheering us on. But her and I dancing. But I remember while I was dancing with her that she was barefoot. And somebody had broken a bottle in the corner of this dance floor area. It was a wooden dance floor. And we're swinging around, and every time she kind of roamed that way, I'd be pulling her back because I didn't want her to step on any broken glass. But that was a night. I think we were there the whole night.
Yeah. It was like a whole day.
I couldn't remember.
We spent the whole day in the bar.
I wonder if they ever look back at the pictures and go, "Who the hell are these guys?"
Yeah. Who knows this guy?
Never invited him.
And then we headed.
Then we had to go back.
We were going home. We needed to get home, for work on Monday.
Now, let me just interject here. This is a 2-week trip. There are so many more things that happen on this trip. We just want to hit some of the highlights. We may come back to some of those other stories later on at another time. But we want to get to the key part of the story is how it ends.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
Part of the thing was, first of all, we left a day late. We made a decision like, we want to stay one more day, and we'll just drive through home, 22 hours, whatever, straight through home. Yeah, let's do that, all right?
It was an easy decision for me to make because he was going to
drive. So anyway, we did that. So we get up and we're leaving a day late, basically, and we head home, and we couldn't do it. You know, we got into South Dakota after driving like 1,000 miles, and we're like, man, I'm beat. Everybody's beat. We're all just tired.
It's like one
2-week vacation. We're just, we're fatigued.
It's like 1, 2 in the morning, and we pull into town of Pierre,
South Dakota, and there's no room at the inn because there's a baton twirling nationals for baton twirling.
Every hotel,
guys. Like,
every
never even heard
decent
of it, but
hotel
anyways,
is filled up. And I remember one of the guys at the front desk told us where to go down by the
head to the seedy part of town. You might find something.
Basically.
Yeah.
So,
and we did find a seedy hotel or motel, whatever.
So we pull up. Now my thing at this point is he's got to drive, right? He's the guy. I want to make sure he gets some rest because you need at least 4 or 5 hours sleep, a shower. I needed him to get some rest. So I'm committed to this property. So we park. I'll get out. I'll check in. He's in the car. Al's in the back. It's a motel center, little center office. I walk up there, and the first red flag, I open the screen door and realize it's only on one hinge. It almost literally falls off my hands. Okay, open the second door, walk in. Second bed, a red flag. There's a woman there. It's 1 in the morning. She's got a 4 or 5-year-old child who's crying, and she's arguing with the hotel personnel behind the counter what to do because her daughter got bit by a bug. So right then and there, I probably should have said, I should have turned around, but I wanted him to get some sleep, so I sucked it up. I got the room key. I didn't tell him any of this. Go ahead.
So then we get in the room. I walk in there. Al takes a 12-pack of beer and a sleeping bag. I take nothing but a shaving kit. Get in there, sleep, shower, leave, let's go. So I walk in there, and it just reeks. It just smells terrible. It's musty, moldy smelling, and they got long shag carpeting. The place is dirty. It's like, my gosh, and the odor, I couldn't handle it. So anyways, I go in my shaving kit. I got this Menon cologne, the old green Menon cologne, and I just start splashing that stuff all over, man. And I use like half the bottle. I splash it all over the place. Okay,
Al's sitting on the floor. So this room was like a living room with a couch and a TV, and then there was actually a second room where the beds were. And that's where
it's a nice layout, actually. It was, crummy place, but nice layout.
Al decided he beached out on the floor in a sleeping bag. So Howard's squishing this, shaking this Menon cologne all over the place. So he's screaming at him, and I'm like, we just got to get to bed. We got to get to bed.
So I get in bed. I got I'm laying there trying to relax. I'm reading.
Now it's two single beds, right? Air conditioner in the wall, a little thing between us, and the bathroom is adjoining. It's a separate room. So Howard's in the bed, the first bed, and I would have the bed that was closer to the air conditioning wall. So go ahead.
And I'm laying there. I got the blanket up to about halfway up my chest, and I'm reading a magazine, trying to relax so I can go to sleep. So all of a sudden I feel something on my stomach. What the heck is that? I raise the sheet up, and here's a cockroach on my stomach, and it's going for me. It's like it's going for my throat, and I just panic. I jump up.
I'm in the bathroom.
I scream like a girl. I hate cockroaches. They give me a willies. I can deal with spiders, even some snakes or cockroaches. That's it, man.
He's hopping around
death, give me a cockroach.
He's hopping around like a madman, and I'm like coming up, and he's like,
and I said, we're leaving. That's it.
And I'm like, calm down. It's going to be fine. So I convince him to stay under one condition. He's got a plan. So what did you do
So
then?
I go out in the truck. I get a big can of Cutter's bug spray, and I literally just start spraying like half the can. I'm gassing the whole place out.
Everything.
Al's like, you're overdoing it. I'm just spraying the whole thing. I'm spraying on the bed, the bed sheet and the cover or whatever. So I get back in and I go, okay, good Lord Almighty, I got to go to bed.
He gets in his bed. I get in my bed. We shut the lights off, and I'm like, all right, it's going to be fine. We're going to get 4 hours of sleep.
Right.
What could possibly go wrong?
Right. And it's been about 5-10 minutes, and I'm just getting lightheaded. I'm just starting to doze off, and all of a sudden I hear a hum and then a little vibration. I'm like, wow, what the hell is that? A little louder, a little
more shaking.
It's like, what the heck's going on here? So by then you were already sitting up. I'm like, what the heck is that?
We don't even turn the lights on.
Yeah.
I get up and I flip open.
No, before that, the horn comes. It's a train, and right before the Roman, it's like,
the whole building is shaking. The whole building is shaking. So then we jump up. We both jump up, and I remember pulling back the blinds. There's the air conditioner, and then there's a filthy window.
Yeah, they
ain't
been open in years.
And what do we see?
There's a train literally 5 feet from the building, and it's so close to the building. I mean, now the building's just shaking. You know what I mean? You're just sitting there like the building's shaking, and it's so close to the building that you couldn't even see the top of the rail car. You could see the wheels, and about 3/4 of the way up, you couldn't see the top of the train. That's how close it was.
You couldn't hear anything. I thought the air conditioner was going to fall out of my lap.
Yeah.
So I look over at him,
and then I was just like, "That's it." we're out of here. I start just putting my clothes on. Al's like, are you sure? I'm like, get in the pickup. This is it. This place is, I was literally, I mean, I've been in a lot of bad motels, whatever, but that literally was the worst motel ever.
I will add this real quick though. But we knew it was time to go when we got in the van. We got loaded up in the truck. Right next door to us, there was a prostitute arguing with the guy over payment. And I thought, okay, it is time to go. But like you said, it was the
worst. It was the worst motel ever.
And what I say to that is, the worst motel ever makes one of the best motel stories ever. And there it is. So that's one of our trips, one of our road trips. We'll have another one coming up down the road. Do us a favor, though. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this story. Subscribe to Bruce C TV. Share it with your friends. Share a link. And don't forget to check post notifications so you can get notified when the next story drops. Howard will be back. So,
thank you.
To be continued.
Bye.